money don't last, the friends don't last. The only thing that lasts is the pain. So it's like if I'm going back to collect more of that.
I like how you said that. So my environment was the confirmation for what needed to change and for who I had to be. I knew my father wasn't there all the times that I needed him. You feel what I'm saying? So I didn't want to be like that for my children.
You know what I'm saying? On the level of racism, on the level of the hardships, we got our hardships, but the hardships on black men back then.
Yeah. Oh, it's no comparison.
You know what I mean? Drugs, alcohol, all of that.
Why is the lion the king of the jungle? Why the lion is really the king of the jungle? Because they're relentless. Lions make a decision to do something. And when they make a decision to do it, they do it with they won't back down. They're relentless. They fight.
Anything can happen. Like, yeah, you probably nigga street like kick that shit out. I wasn't kicking nothing out. Like, I don't know, like that shit just in me for real.
I'm good. Yeah. So I had to practice not letting my emotions get to me.
But it's deeper than that too. Like black has so many different meanings, you know what I'm saying? And I researched all this, and then in my paintings, the last color I use in all my pieces is the black. So I come around with this really black, bold line.
Always be doing good. So when something really bad happens, I see so much good in the bad shit that I can't even take it like it's bad. I just be like, you know what, God did that. I'm gonna embrace that.
It's good to help others, but don't take away from what you need to build on with yourself.
I came up in the area of Baltimore they call down the hill. That's like the Caroline Eager, you know, Church Square area. And that's where I was born in that area. And then maybe like a year or two after I was born, my mom moved up to Claremont Projects. It's like Claremont Freeway Projects up in the 21213, like off the Urban and Federal area. This project's not there no more though. They tore them down and they rebuilt them. So my father is from Dominican Republic. My mother is black. She's from here. So growing up, when I would travel to my father's house in New York, he pretty much would teach me how to cook, like traditional Dominican dishes, and you know, more so Dominican dishes. And he would pretty much teach me how to cook in a way where, you know, whatever I have, you know, whether it was little to none or an abundance, you know, just to be creative with it. You know, growing up, you know, we lived in poverty down in Baltimore, and it was just a different form of poverty when I would visit him in New York. You feel me? So, you know, he always showed me like to be creative with what I had. So that's kind of like how I got into cooking. You know, cooking, you know, beans and rice, stewing chicken. You know, we used to go fishing up in Battery Park, up in New York as well. You know, we would catch striped bass. And you know,
how old were you at this time?
I was around like 10.
Okay.
Yeah, between around like 10. Like really, so my father, he would move back and forth from New York to Baltimore.
Yo, you gotta tell the story of how you came to Baltimore, how you met your mother.
Oh yeah, yeah, because I remember we touched on that last time. So pretty much, so my father, I think when my father was like 18 or 19, he left Dominican Republic, and at this time, it wasn't as easy to get over here. You know, of course, prior to the Trump era, but yeah, but it wasn't as easy to get over here to the U.S. So my father had to steal away, you know, on an exporting boat, leaving from DR. So they had to climb like these walls, get past military.
To make it on the boat?
Yeah, to make it on the boat. So they had some type of, you know, inside tip, and some guy that he was working with, they would cut into these trailers on the exporting boats. And, you know, they would pretty much get on these boats, and then they would go to Puerto Rico, and then they would, you know, be able to fly from Puerto Rico to the U.S. and so forth. And that's how they would do it. I remember him telling me they had a group of guys, and they was like cutting into these exporting boats, and one of I mean, the trailers on the boat, and one of them was like tobacco, and they couldn't stay in there because they would have suffocated from the smell and everything. Yeah, so they had to cut into another trailer. So they
He
had
didn't find that out until so they were in the first.
like today was in the boat. They had to cut through multiple trailers, and then they got
really had to get out of that tobacco trailer.
Exactly. So they finally found one, and they made their way to Puerto Rico, and from Puerto Rico he linked up with some contacts over there, and then flew from Puerto Rico to Florida, and pretty much around that time he's like I said 18 or 19. He just pretty much trying to make it in America at this point. So he's getting tangled up into like these like a plantation. I mean, I know this ain't back during slavery, but you had like plantations still going on like on the low for
by him being undocumented.
Yeah, you feel me? So they had like undocumented, like illegal immigrants pretty much coming over.
Slavery.
Yeah, it's slavery. Yeah, it's slavery. So it
Yeah.
wasn't slavery like what we,
It's just missing a whip. That's all.
Exactly, pretty much though. So they would have a bunch of like Mexicans, Dominicans, Cubans, all types of people like on these plantations picking like mangoes and shit. And
knowing that this is your only option for
Exactly.
for any type of vibe. Where you gonna go except here?
Right. Like literally, and you literally had to escape those plantations though. So
That's crazy.
yeah, we might be talking about the late 70s or the 80s. You feel me?
Wow.
So working his way up the East Coast.
How did he escape? Excuse me, yo, but how did he escape that first plantation or the last one? Whatever allowed him to segue from doing that to survive.
I forget the exact details, but I know that whoever he was with, made friends with, a few guys, they pretty much planned to escape, and they escaped from the plantation. But I don't know the exact details of how they escaped. But he did tell me, it was one of those situations where, they would kill you, because at the end of the day, what they're doing is illegal. And,
So you can't make it out and run your mouth because then
Right,
you bring the whole shit
exactly.
down. So it's better just to dump you. And
Exactly. And you already, you're not legal at the end of the day.
I didn't think about that, but
Yeah, so
killing you don't mean nothing. I'm not.
Pretty much.
If they don't find that body.
it's like it's no trace of you at the end of the day.
Man, that's
So he had to, started, I got a lot of my family when they come from DR.
But he started that though purely to survive. It wasn't like he
Exactly, yeah.
He was sold cutlery if that's what.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
I done seen my father like work every type of job, every type of hustle, anything you can think of. I seen my father do. So a lot of my family too, like when they come to the U.S., they go to like New York and shit like that. So that's just a common thing.
A lot of people from the Caribbean always go to New York, Jersey, Northern Jersey.
Yeah, that's what they tend to do though. So I just say that to say we had family up in New York already prior to him,
So he
getting
knew
over.
if I can make it there, then I'm good.
Yeah, pretty much. So going up to New York and pretty much traveling back and forth to Baltimore. I think I guess shit would get hot no matter where he was, and then he would travel to like another city or state. And his travels to Baltimore, he was looking for a house, like a room for rent. And what ended up happening was he knocked on the wrong door to this house, and turns out the door they knocked on was my mother and her friend that lived in this house. And when they seen my father, they was like, "Yeah, this is the house right here." You feel me?
We wasn't rent rooms now, but we rent them now.
Right, pretty much. Light skinned niggas was in. He had the accent and everything.
With the accent,
Right. You feel me? So,
okay.
So what ended up happening was the lady, the person he was really supposed to be renting a room from, they came out and they got into this big ass argument with my mother and her friend because they was fussing like, no, the house is right here, yada yada yada. So that's kind of like how my mother and my father, ended up meeting. And so fast forward, My mother and my father, they split, and I was pretty much,
How old were you at the split?
I was actually probably like 1 or 2 when my mother and my father split. And, you know, he stayed in Baltimore for some time, and then he went back to New York. And so the way I would see my father is he would either come down, like, from New York, and he would just spend the whole day with me. And then, you know, he would catch a Greyhound down. He would spend the whole day with me, take me shopping, stuff like that. And then he would pretty much catch a Greyhound back at night.
But you could count on it. You could count on him coming.
Yeah, absolutely. Or, you know, I would go up to New York, you know, for the summertime or, you know, spring break and shit like that.
So it wasn't no abandonment or no?
Nah, you know, him and my mother split, but, you know, me and my father, we always stayed in contact. He would either come down and see me, or I would go up there and see him. You know, so he was always in my life, you know, at the end of the day. So I really,
that's what I was trying.
Yeah. Father was always in my life, so I never like went without having a father, even though he wasn't like in the home, you know. So that's how that was.
Let me ask you, when did you realize it was a dream and ambition that was viable to you, cooking? And I know that there's more to come with that story than just waking up one day saying I'm gonna cook. But I
think when I realized it was I was going through a period in my life where I was like struggling, going from job to job, and
you gotta tell me some of the other jobs you worked for. You gotta tell me some other jobs before you CEO, Chef Alex.
Yeah, I didn't. I feel like they say Jamaicans like nobody got more jobs than Jamaica. Like on some real, like I've been a dispatcher. I done did carpet cleaning. I done did, you know, I worked for Comcast. You know, doing sales. I worked for Subway, you know, making sandwiches. Yeah, like making sandwiches. I done did credit card collections. Like the list goes on and on.
You did. I mean, at any day when you worked in the dead end job like the Subways and the dispatching, when you would get off of work, did you ever?
So interestingly, what I would say with Subway, I kind of not necessarily gonna say like I necessarily belong. I felt good for the Subway job because when I was like 15 to 16, I ended up. My father left the country when I was like 15 or 16, and then, you know, getting older, smelling myself and feeling like my life should be going in a particular way, I ended up moving out of my mom's house. So, yeah, you know, I ended up dropping out of school, and I went ahead and started working full time. And the first full time job that I had was Subway, and I noticed, like, you know, how effortlessly working there was for me, and how into like creating with food, even though it was something as simple as sandwiches, it was just like an art, you know, to me, like how fast I move, how precise, you know, I made the sandwiches and shit like that.
Working within Subway's parameters.
Exactly, you know.
Touched on your own innate.
Plus, you know, it's like, you know, I'm like 16, and I got a homeboy that's around like 15 to 16. All of our coworkers around the same age, and like we pretty much running, you know, the store. So we pretty much, you know, we was running the store and having a ball, you know, going to the liquor store next door. It was the Subway in Hollandtown off of Holland and Fayette. roll the dice, you know, just having a good old time. Yeah, in the store, you know, just wild in the store to fuck out, pretty much. But we all, as far as the work, we always made sure that we was serious about the work that we was doing. And the owner, he was just like an absentee owner though, so he was never there.
As long as the profit kept coming in.
Pretty much, you know, he was. I mean, for a good amount of time, I had another buddy. He was older than us though. But he was like kind of like a GM for the store, and he had shit running tight. And I think what ended up happening is he had some issues with the owner. The owner wasn't trying to like bump him up to another position to run other stores.
Like regional or something like that.
Yeah, so he ended up leaving. He ended up leaving that store, and he did that for, of course, to advance himself and to leave the position open for me to go into his management position.
Did he offer it to you?
Oh yeah. He was grooming me to
Okay.
pretty much take over, everything.
So you ended up sliding into the management.
Yeah, because when he left, the owner was like, damn, like, what the fuck
What
I'm
am I
gonna
do
do?
now? Yeah.
He's like, yo, you got Alex. Like, Alex, Alex will take care of you. And that's kind of how I slid into that position. But, out of all the, man, I worked, a lot of jobs I worked, what I noticed was, it was something else out there,
That's what I want to hit on. At the end of the day,
yeah.
you wasn't aiming to be the regional.
Yeah,
I mean, you was young too at the time.
Yeah, I was young and I was looking into it, but I was looking into my options and weighing my options. But I feel like the youngest age I can remember, I remember when I used to live in Claremont Projects. I remember me and one of my buddies like getting like old baseball and NBA cards and shit, and putting like 10 in a stack and putting rubber bands around them, setting up a table out on the porch, trying to sell them, make some money. I remember finding bikes, and I'll find a bike frame, and then I'll find a wheel, and then I'll find the handlebars, and I'll find a seat, putting it together and selling it.
Put a bike together.
Yeah, so I always remember, working with my hands and trying to, make something happen, and really just having this mindset that, I wanted to be rich or wealthy one day, or, so that seed was always like planted in my head. I feel like my father really planted that, in my head. So at a very early age, I was in love with money and getting money, and I didn't have,
That's what I'm about to say.
didn't have any
One thing
money.
is not having money changes your relationship.
Yeah, it
with money,
does.
and your trajectory of hustle. That's one thing I noticed.
Yeah, definitely that. So I think when you come from poverty and you go in a space where you gotta realize some of the things that entails, where you got other people who, they got mother and father in the house, they have a decent income coming in, you got cars in the house, a lot of the things that
Groceries.
Yeah, groceries, whatever.
Electricity, all kinds
Yeah,
of that.
all those things, like, or expenses that relate to you transitioning from like a child to a teenager into your adult years. Like, a lot of those things are already paid for people, who have those types of household structures, but
Resources.
I didn't have those resources. So when I did get a job, it's like I was thinking like, yo, how the fuck am I going to even live and do this? Yeah, I'm working on my own, so I always had to look like, damn, I need something more than this because it's not cutting it. And at the time, I didn't really realize why I wasn't cutting it, because I'm so far behind. You feel me? Because a lot of the things that I can do for my kids now, my parents, they weren't able to do that for me. I had to do it on my own. So they, made sure food was in the house. Made sure, like the basics. The basics. But it was still a struggle. And you don't realize how much more than the basics you need when you get out into your adulthood.
Not till you get out and see
Yeah,
all the bills that you.
exactly. So I always had something in the back of my head where I knew, like, damn, I need more money than this. Like, this shit ain't gonna cut it.
You knew you couldn't live like that.
Yeah.
Forever.
Exactly, and I felt like my mother and my father doing all they did, instilling all they instilled in me. I felt like it was my duty to do something great. To think outside of the box. To not like marginalize myself. Into, all right, fuck it, I'm gonna get a 9 to 5. I'm gonna work. I feel like to change like our history, for generations to come, I had to just think so far out of the box, though, and really have a mindset that, nothing was impossible. My mother, she taught me that the struggle that I'm going through right now isn't going to last forever, and my father taught me to, reach past the stars,
I like
so,
that, reach past the stars.
I pretty much took both of those things, knowing that if I was in a fucked up situation, as my mom, would tell me, like, it's not going to last forever, and from my father, nothing is impossible. You can do anything, that you want, in this world. So I had that mentality at a very early age, and I think having that mentality and then getting out there to the adult world and really seeing like the shit that my mother and father was dealing with, you know, raising us is just like, damn, you know, I need more of this. I need to do something. So I had a lot of jobs that were like dead end, and I would get bored with them, and after 3 or so months, you know, I would leave. Or I think I had a job for like the longest, probably was like for a year or so, or a little bit longer than a year, and you know, it was cool coming in there, you know, getting a paycheck and shit like that, but
Felt like you was running in place.
yeah, running in place,
Treading water.
pretty much though, and I didn't have no extra money, you know. Like I would hear people saying like, you know, to save money and do this and do that. I'm like, man,
How do I do that when I don't have no extra money?
Exactly.
I take care of everything out this check. Yeah,
Right. And you know, and I think what ended up happening was I was at one of these jobs. I think it was Comcast, and I came in there one day and I was just sitting at a computer hanging up on people as they was calling in. Yeah, hanging up on people and shit. And I'm like, man, I took my headsets off. Like, yo, fuck this. They was like, Alex, where you going at? I'm like, yeah, I can't do this shit no more. And I just threw the deuces and I just left.
You did get that last check though.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. I got the last check, you know. But, you know, I think at that point, I had other jobs after that, a couple other jobs after that, but I feel like that really kind of jump started a little bit more. It just had me think like, you know, all right, cool, Alex, you got to open your mind a little bit more. You know, what can you do to make money?
That was a turning point for your mentality. However, if you had 2, 3, 4 jobs after that,
Yeah.
from that day in Comcast, you said, you know what, this ain't it.
Yeah, it was like I knew that I had to do something a little bit more, and I started thinking of, you know, with my friends and other people, I started thinking of other things that I could do to just really, you know, make extra money outside of work and use that money, you know, to invest in other things and eventually make that my full-time thing. Because I used to look up to people like in the city that I seen, you know, partying, doing promotion and stuff at clubs and like selling cars and doing this. They was like doing, they had their hands in multiple things, and I never seen them going to like a 9 to 5 or anything. But they was always flying shit like that, and I'm talking about like outside of the like the D-boys and shit like that, you know. So I'm talking about outside of the D-boys. Like I always knew like shit.
That's a good distinction. To
Yeah.
say. I still seen dudes that was living fly.
Right.
They wasn't the D-boys.
Exactly.
Somebody
Yeah.
who don't know will lump everybody in together who don't have
Yeah.
9 to 5, not realizing it's
Yeah, it's different
totally
things.
different.
Yeah.
It's different levels.
Yeah, there's different things out
But
there.
a hustler is a hustler is a hustler.
Pretty much,
It's
yeah.
jobs,
You know,
but-
it didn't always have to be, you know, drugs. And I mean, at the end of the day, that was one of the last routes that I was trying to go. You feel me?
Did you ever consider that?
Oh hell yeah, yeah. I definitely considered, you know, going that route, but I would always fight to do other things, you know, before I made that, because I already knew, like, I had friends and I seen a lot of people, you know, die in that game. You know, these is like young niggas, like 19, 20, 21. You feel me?
Even living their life.
Yeah, you know, and I just seen people. I knew that I would have to be very ruthless if I was going to survive in that game, you know, and I would just had to be all in, and that's really no matter if it was going to be dealing, you know, whether it was going to be, you know, me working a job or start my own business. I knew that whatever I do, I had to be dedicated to it, and I didn't really want to dedicate my life to that. So I did my best to make sure that I didn't go down that path, because I already knew what it came along with, you know. So, but you know, at the end of the day,
You
definitely.
still knew you wanted that, like the other set of dudes you was telling me.
Right.
I want to live fly though.
Yeah, I want to live
Don't
fly,
mistake me.
but you know, without having to catch bodies and you know,
Don't
look,
get kicked
yeah,
in.
and things like that. So, I think one of the last jobs I was working, it was actually a contractor for Comcast, and I was doing dispatching. And one of my homeboys at the job, we was kind of like rapping. Him and his brother was like his brother sold cars. We'll go to the auction and get cars, and you know, pretty much resell them and shit like that. So we was having conversations about that, and you know, pretty much another job that I felt like, man, this shit ain't cutting it. I got to do something else. You know, it's not enough bread coming in, you know, for what I'm trying to do in my life. So.
Were you just doing the cars? At that time, you were purely dealing with cars, or you?
Oh no, we was working in a dispatch. We working in the office. My boy was telling me about him and his brother selling cars, and he was pretty much proposing that me and him go out here and start our own, you know, car dealership. Get our dealer's license and things like that. And I think that planted a big seed that kind of started, because he was talking the numbers that he was talking about. I was like, that's the type of motherfucking bread that I need coming in. You know, he's talking about, yeah, you know, you're making 200, 300,000, you know, a year, you know, doing this.
Oh, it sounds so good.
Sounds very lovely. So I think I ended up, I don't know what happened, but I think they started cracking down on like the rules and regulations in our office. You had people like stealing, like, you know, motherfuckers selling cable boxes and shit like that. And you know, and they were like, I guess, cracking down on all the officers trying to figure out like what's going on here and what's going on there. So they started regulating like when you can be on your phone. And I mean, at that time I felt like, you know, the job wasn't paying me enough not to be on my phone. You feel me? Because I had things going on my phone. You know, I had my little hustles. I mean, it might not be, you know, what I'm doing now, but other shit that got me extra money and things like that. And I think I told the manager, like, you know, y'all don't pay me enough not to be on my phone. And they I guess wanted to reprimand me or something. They had me sitting in this room, and I was like, look, y'all, if y'all gonna fire me, like, just let me know right now so I can dip. So I just had like.
I'm surprised you're saying. Did you take the reprimand or?
They had me sitting in the room, I guess, like waiting to tell me what they were going to do. You know,
like, as if y'all paying me so much.
Exactly. So they had me sitting there for a little bit too long for my taste, and I ended up getting up and I handed them my badge, and you know, I'm like, all right, I'm out. You know, handed my badge to like the my supervisor, and she's like, oh, they already fired you through HR. I'm like, why the fuck did y'all have me sitting there then? Like, you know how like people try to say like, oh, they already fired you. Like, okay. I'm out.
It worked out then. Hey,
yeah, so I think after that, I started going to business school, and my homegirl, she was suggesting like, you know, you ain't working right now, but you should go to business school. That'll, you know, help sharpen your mind and everything like that. And plus, you can get refund checks and shit like that to like help your living expenses, and you can take some of that money, invest into your business, and you know, yada yada yada. And that's what I ended up doing. But I was trying to get this. I had a plan. Like, you know what? I'm gonna go to business school, and I'm going to school online. And I submitted for those first loans and shit. And I had like a big ass refund check, Pell Grant and the loans. You know, I don't know. I think I went.
Try not to touch them. Try not to touch the loans until the day you click the button and be like, man.
Listen, I took them. I took both of them because
the good one and the bad one, right?
Yep. Because what ended up happening was I only took one class, so it was like 10,000 altogether. So that one class was only like 1,600. I got like 8,500.
Damn,
and a refund.
That wasn't never.
Yeah, I felt like that was like
that was almost robbery.
That was like a glitch. That was like a glitch in their system or something. But they allowed me to.
I'm sure you can't do that like that.
Fuck no. Like it was a glitch in that system because the next semester I think I only got around like 4,500 at whatever class I did. Right. But the way it laid down, pretty much, I took that one class and I ended up I accepted all the loans that they offered me, and then it was like an $8,500 check, you know, that they sent, and I was like, yeah, all right, cool. This is what I need to get shit cracking. Yeah, I need my money. You feel me? And pretty much, you know, if you don't give me my money, there's gonna be some problems. And what ended up happening was, I think I came up there with my oldest brother, and you know, we was like in all black, had the tents and everything, and
I'm in business.
And he was just like, he gave me some money there, and long story short,
he gave you enough for y'all to leave alone.
Yeah,
that day.
pretty much that day, you know. And I know what ended up happening is I think a couple days later, I came back up to the dealership to collect again. All his cars were gone.
That's a wrap.
He packed up and skipped town though, so I never seen him like another day of life. So that ended up happening. Obviously, I didn't get all my money, and you know, now it's just like I'm down, and like that, you know, that 8,500 is gone, you know, at this point.
It goes so fast.
Yeah, so pretty much I started getting into some other things, and I don't really want to get into the exact details, but I was nothing illegal, but it ended up getting me into some legal trouble, you know. So I had another business, you know, that I was dealing with, and at the whole dealership situation wasn't working, and I found myself into some legal troubles that really set me back a great deal. And what ended up happening, I think this was what ended up happening after that, you know, no job. I have pending cases, you know, on my record. And no job would hire me. So I'm like, really, this is at the point where I'm like, yo, something has got to fucking give. You feel me? And I'm just like really like thinking like, you know, what?
Would you say you was depressed at that point, or? I mean, that's a strong word, but.
Man.
That's a
Yeah.
real thing, though.
Yeah.
That
You
shit
know.
happens.
Yeah. You know. I'm gonna say that frustrated, traumatized. You know, like this feeling like every time I would go out, you know, if I'm going to have trouble with, you know, with the law. I remember a time where going through that whole those legal issues, and I had, you know, a child support case, and this is like literally my son is in my custody.
Also, while you still fighting the one charges, now you have the child support.
Yeah, I got the child support, you know, fucking with my license. And I remember a situation, and this is like, because a lot of people, they get into these topics about child support and shit like that. Like, I had my son, first of all, I had joint custody of my son, which should have ended the child support case.
I would thought it would have.
Should have, but no, it didn't. Because let them tell it, pretty much either one of us could request child support from each other.
Okay.
Yeah, which is just stupid to me.
So she requested more?
No, so she
Any?
my son's mother, she requested child support prior to us doing the joint custody situation.
Okay.
So the case was just like brewing. Then we did a joint custody that should have ended the child support, but the motherfuckers down there act like they getting the money.
I don't know why it become personal. Down there.
Yeah, like they act like they getting the money. So nobody would help me out, and of course, you know, like I didn't really have at the time, you know, I didn't have the bread to like really put into that. So just imagine all that shit going on. I got the legal issues that I have now. I'm not paying up on the child support, even though, I had my son in my house full time. You know, me and my son's mother, she was going through some things, and
we are enemies.
When we first broke up, you know, we had issues, but that's just typical in relationships, you know, like, you know, you got a child with somebody, you know, y'all end up breaking up, things didn't go the way y'all wanted them to go, so y'all got that beef. But there was a point in time where, like, me and my son's mother was like, she'll take my son and disappear for months, and I'll take him, and I would like, you know, like, look, you know, I wouldn't necessarily disappear, but I wouldn't just let him go over there because she had some things going on at the time, and I didn't really feel like it was best environment to be in. At the time, she probably felt like, damn, you know, taking my only child from me and yada 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 yada, and da da da. She took it the wrong way at the time, and then it got to a point in time through the years, we just came together and squashed everything, and we both made the decision that it was best for my son to live with me full time while she was getting her stuff together. You feel me? And that's pretty much what we ended up doing. But the child support case, she called up there to try to get me off.
She even called up there?
Yes.
They still?
Yeah, she called up there to try to get me off. I explained to them what was going on. They was looking at me like I'm a ain't shit nigga. Like I showed them school documentations. I showed them everything.
You know, it's crazy. I'm glad that you touched on child support, because so often you hear, I mean, I ain't gonna lie, it is a lot of ain't shit niggas out there.
Yeah, it is.
Who deserve that
Right.
that treatment, and you kind of gotta be like that with them because, man, that's his own docuseries. But
Right.
it's rare to hear a dude say, I was taking care of my child before, like my child was living with me.
Full time.
And that's and then to still get dragged over them that child support hell.
Yeah. So
Plus you got other shit going on.
yeah. So you
Movie,
know,
it's gonna be something else, boy. It'll be something else.
pretty much, man. So what ended up happening was one day I was getting some food late night and some milk, you know, for getting some food for me and my girl and getting some milk for our daughter. And I'm driving up Bel Air Road and shit. I get pulled over by this cop, this black cop. He run my license and everything. License ended up being suspended for the whole child support situation.
You ain't know though.
Maybe I did fucking know, you know? Yeah, I was driving on a suspended license. You feel me? Like it was a good cause, you know, like
I gotta get the milk.
Exactly, I gotta get the milk, I gotta get the food, you know. So I ended up you know, this nigga ended up arresting me for driving with a suspended license. It's
crazy because they can let you go.
They can let you go.
They can let you ride on all kind of shit. When
Exactly.
They want to let you ride.
Exactly, and
That's petty.
this and literally I feel like what he ended up doing was he seen the pending charges
The other things
that I had, and you know I was already out on bail for that shit. So then he locks me up for the suspended license, and I go to the commission. I'm thinking they're gonna let me out on my own recon. This is just a suspended license, but I don't know if they felt like I was like a flight risk or whatever the case is, but they gave me another bail. So now I'm out on 2 bails, and I like
one of them is a goddamn suspended license.
Suspended license. Like I never heard of somebody getting a fucking bail for a suspended license, like ever. Yeah, ever. So I'm dealing with that. So I got a lot of shit going on at this point. You know, traumatized by police in general. You feel me? Got a shit going on with child support. And, you know, now this stuff is spilling over to my relationship with, you know, my girl and...
Not the mother of your child.
No, my girlfriend. Me and my
she would
son...
eventually become your wife, though, right?
Yeah, the girl I'm talking about. Me and my son, we split when my son... We actually split, like, before my son was born, you know. So... We've been split for, like, a while at this point, you know. So my girlfriend... literally we going through shit right now because I got all these legal issues and I got money coming in from different places, but it's not consistent enough. So it's just like I'm at a point like where I feel like I got to do something, you know. So
were you feeling like, because I know you're in a household, you got your woman, your child, did it begin to make you feel like less than a man? As far as not who you were morally, but as far as when you say that the money ain't coming consistently, that causes a lot of stress, and then it did. Head of the household.
Yeah, I mean, it did, and the thing is, the most fucked up part about it, I was bringing in way more money than my girlfriend, but because of how it was coming in, it wasn't enough to suffice, to like really. It wasn't consistent enough, So we was, robbing Peter to pay Paul, having to do this, having to do that, and literally I got the world on my shoulders, and now I got her, feeling like damn, like what the fuck, So we got into, we started going through our own shit, because of this.
Because of the stress that
all
that shit was causing.
Pretty much, and long story short, I think when me and my girl, we got together, she was, her diet was just like, she's kind of like the reason I got back into cooking, actually. Because her diet was kind of like fucked up. Like, yeah. Like, I didn't eat that. I mean, granted, like, I might have grew up on that shit, but, I kind of, I expanded my palate at this point. Learning shit from my grandmother, taking the things that my father taught me. My grandmother, she had like a real clean style of cooking. Always made sure she had like 1 or 2 vegetables on a plate. She just had her own style of cooking. She's been in the medical field like for 30 years plus.
This your mother's mother or your father's?
This is my mother's mother.
Okay.
My grandparents on my father's side, they died when I was younger. And I never got to meet my grandmother, my grandfather in DR. Yeah, so my mother's mother, she I learned quite a few things cooking wise from her as well. So that's really where my cooking background comes from. It comes from my father and my grandmother on my mother's side. So
so that's how you were able because when I look at the menu for Papi's, it's very unique. You're not gonna find that anywhere in town, anywhere out of town, really. But now when you tell a story, it's like a combination.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely is, because what I started doing was I started cooking for my girl, and I started cooking for us, and that was definitely like a stress relief to me with everything that was going on. I started, because I always been an artist, like growing up, drawing, painting.
You told me about the tattoos.
Yeah, I used to do tattoos. I was always known for like drawing, painting, tattoos, sculpting, like anything.
Sculpting?
Yeah, I used to do that back in like elementary school, all the way down to like sculpting clay sculptures to the fucking paper maches and shit, like I would win awards for art. Yeah, it was just naturally in me. So anything that I do with my hand, I even did carpentry, back in high school.
Was you into it, or that's just something you did?
Yeah, I was into it, building, anything as far as creation, I've always been into. And when I'm working with my hands, like I'm real precise, with what I'm doing. So some time ago, I thought about being a chef because I thought it was a dope, job to have. Like I like the chef coats and this, getting real artistic with the plating and things like that. But I looked up the median income for a chef, and it wasn't enough for me. So I'm like, this ain't gonna get me rich. So I put it out of my head. But you fast forward to now, it's like this is like an outlet for me. I'm cooking more. I'm putting different ingredients together. Different flavor profiles, and I'm just really just creating within the house. I'm literally cooking things and plating it as if. You was in a restaurant, so.
Even though it's just for you?
Yeah, even though it's just for me and the kids, and my girl, like I'm getting more into, the cooking aspect, and this really starting to venture off into some things that I never cooked with, outside of the whole, traditional Dominican dishes, outside of the Southern American dishes like my grandmother, showed me how to cook. And soul food, and all types of stuff. You feel me? Like I started to, because my grandma, she had like a very clean style of soul food that she would do.
Almost like healthy.
Yeah, like a healthy soul food, and then she had other dishes that she ventured off into it as well. So just really taking that knowledge, I ended up started to form my own style of cooking. I had an aunt, my aunt on my Dominican side of my family.
Mm-hmm.
She's, I'm not sure if she still do it, but I used to hear stories about her combining all these seasonings together, and like they used to say like the seasoning that she made, like was just like off the hook, like so much flavor in it, and
That's that season where you was like you had to get out the house.
Yeah, you can't even be in the house while somebody's mixing it together because all the fumes and everything, powder and shit going in the air. Like you had to wear a mask, while you mixing that shit together. So having that thought in my head, I'm like, shit, I need my own seasoning. So I started mixing some herbs and some different spices together. And
were you mimicking hers, or you just said you
I made my own.
Okay.
Yeah, so
but you knew the process of how to do it.
Yeah, and then at this time, once I was getting more and more into cooking, like I started doing my own research. Started going on YouTube, started going on Google, looking up different things. How to make my own rub, and I started to create and form. My own ingredients. My own spice combinations, I should say. Until I got and created my own rub, and I think I did this back in like 2014, and I would just mix it together.
You ain't trademark it yet.
Oh yeah, it is.
Oh.
So
Small man.
yeah, so yeah, all that because the thing I say, the reason I say that is because that rub I refined and perfected that through the years, and it's one of the bases in the in the cuisine today though. You feel me? This is something I created 7 years ago. You feel me? And,
never knowing where it was.
Yeah, never knowing where it was going to take me. I was just using this for like cooking in the house, and what ended up happening, I found I had a natural knack for cooking in general and plating. And I used to post when Instagram first came out. I was starting to post the food on Instagram. But anything I would cook, I would post it on Instagram. And just through the years, like people just sound like, yo, you should start selling this food.
Explain to me real quick the importance of plating, because I don't think a lot of
people eat with their eyes.
Exactly.
Yeah, people eat with their eyes, and I know I do. So, and then having an artistic background is like I was very much into the presentation, of the food in general. So it really, I feel like it dictated how I was going to eat the food, So I need the rice sitting up a particular way, I need the chicken laying down like this, I need the sauce dripping like that. So, I mean, it's a whole experience at the end of the day, though. So delivering that onto the plate and like posting it and, connecting with people who was following me, people was sort of saying like, yo, that looks very good. This looks above average. This looks like this shit came out of a restaurant. I didn't have any traditional training or anything.
Imagine somebody is complimenting on how it looks.
Yeah.
Now they
haven't even tasted it yet. Yeah. But I think people seen that, I was very much into it, and they seen that it was above average, than what you were saying. People posting their plates and shit like nah, like this shit look like I'm in a restaurant at this point. So
you need to stop that shit too. Just posting mundane pedestrian shit.
Right.
Go ahead.
So I ended up I think I started talking to my girl at that time. It was just like maybe what if I did this food? I remember, working jobs, and there would be a lady coming in with plates of food and shit, like fish plates and chicken plates for like $13, $10 and shit. And I remember every time they would come around, I'm like, yo, why the fuck nobody told me she was bringing in plates? Because I would want one, but she would only do pre-orders, right? Yeah. So I remember, people selling plates back in the day. So I was just thinking one thing I can say is that, because I always had this thought in my head, anything I do, I got to think of something that people are going to need. You feel me? That you can't go without. So it's either going to be food, transportation, which was the car dealership situation, or housing, real estate. I got to get in one of these lanes. So I'm thinking what, food might not be a bad idea, because whoever you are, if you don't eat, you die. It's as simple as that. Yeah, as simple as that. If you don't eat, you die. And all I had to do is find my niche in that food world. Bring something to the food world that's unique, that you can't get from anybody else, and I could really run it up on this shit. So I started talking to her about it, what do you think if I do this food thing? And I started thinking about promo and the pricing, and started calculating my food costs and how to make a profit and shit like that. And I ended up coming up with the name Papi Cuisine. So I needed a name for it. I needed to set up my business page and everything for it.
To stick out, ain't too many Papis in
right.
Baltimore.
Yeah, and pretty much it was definitely a play on words, meaning my cuisine, because it was something that you never tasted or never seen before. Every time somebody would taste my food, they was like, yo, I never tasted anything like this. It was very unique.
I definitely hadn't tasted nothing like that.
Yeah, so the flavor profile, and everything is one of a kind. So that's pretty much essentially how I came up with the name. It's a various cuisines, from my perspective, so to speak. It's a fusion style cuisine, because I took influences from, Dominican Republic, where, you have the base of the flavors, Southern America, African cuisine, different countries in Africa. Italian, French. And I just took, a lot of those different flavors, my favorites in those particular categories of food. And I just, created my own, fusion of those cuisines. And it's pretty much what it birthed, papi cuisine. And I think the first day that I started, I launched the business. It was like as a curbside pickup type thing, I was gonna have people pick it up from my house. And
You gotta start somewhere.
yeah, you gotta start somewhere though. And I think the first day, I only got one customer, and I cooked all this food and shit. I was like, damn, cooked all this food. I think my girl
She gave out some of it for free.
yeah,
I mean,
but
it's gonna get to be kind of expensive at the beginning.
yeah, I think, and then it's just like I had a lot of shit going on that day too. Like my girl, she was at work. I had our daughter. She was getting potty trained, so
That's your day right there.
Yeah,
You
so
already know.
it's like I'm dealing with a lot. And one of my friends, my homegirl, her boyfriend came up. They I know her for like years. She bought like 3 dinners from me, and the rest of the food that I cooked that day, I went ahead and took it to some of my family members and friends just so they can taste it, because I didn't want it to go to waste.
Yeah.
But at that point, one of the things I realized that day was a lot of people were asking, do I deliver? Do you deliver? Do you deliver? A lot of these people were like business professionals. They're working in the office.
So they're interested, but
They're interested,
they
but
may not have the time
yeah.
to personally come to you.
They had the time to come all the way out to Middle River to pick up this to pick up this food. So I shut down, kind of sort of shut down the business in a sense as far as like selling the food, but I still kept the name alive. So
So the brand is still
yeah, I kept the brand alive by just revamping like my whole approach to getting the food to people, which I ended up going into like a full delivery service. But prior to that, I started doing like a friends like cookouts under that name, Papi Cuisine.
Oh, so you almost like catering.
Yeah, so to a minimum. I think towards the end of 2014, I started pretty much delivering the food to people. So I had like a couple of menu items that I would start out with that day, and I started delivering the food and things like that. And once I started delivering it, just seeing how the sales just transformed, from that one customer.
One on that first
Yeah,
day.
because at this time, another thing, what I would say, I was still going through, financial turmoil, so spending money on all that food and not turning a profit fucked me up, some more. So I wasn't necessarily ready to quit completely. I just had to figure some other things out. And I think what I ended up doing is I feel like, what, I might have to get a job, but it's going to be a part-time job. And what I figured is if I can get a part-time job that will allow me time outside of work to put into my own business.
Then the job is working for me.
Exactly.
I'm working for the job.
Exactly, though. So I needed something that could take care of the basis of my bills, and even if it left like $100 or $200 left that I can put into the business, it was going to be worth it for me as far as the time. So I ended up finding this job, and literally while I was the job, it was part-time hours. They looked past the issues that I think at that point in time, I got acquitted of everything that was dealing with legally.
Okay, so
So
pretty clear
the
as
whole
far as-
the whole legal issue, my attorney, she did her thing, so everything was I was acquitted of all those charges. Somehow I was beaten down. I'm gonna be talking about a couple of different topics, like leading on to like what happened, with me going into this next job. I was beaten down child support office so much that one of these supervisors, I felt like she felt bad for me because of what I was telling her. And at this point, it used to be a time where women can call and take their child's father off of child support. And they can call and put them back on.
And it's that easy. Just
Yeah, they used to be able to do that. Well, you had to go down. You feel me? Do it. But they child support got tired of that, so they started running that shit through the court. And when you run it through the court, it take a fucking year for you to get a case.
The court taking a year for
exactly.
anything anyway. But
exactly. So I was beating down this office, like, because I knew that, you know, eventually I'm going to need my license to be clean and clear if I'm going to be doing these deliveries as well. So this supervisor, I feel like she really helped me out. She ended up passing me to the manager over top of the whole Baltimore City child support office.
Oh wow, that was a lot of love right there.
Yeah, and literally, I talked to him about the whole situation. He got me and my son's mother on the phone just to verify. And she's like, yeah, you know, his son stays with him full time. I'm giving you the authority to, you know, to stop it pending the case. Because we actually had to file a case for court as well, so we can sit in front of the judge, so they can ultimately end the case. But this manager for child support, man, he actually stopped the child support case, took the restriction off my license, and they also refunded me the money that I was paying.
Damn, right then and there that day.
Yeah. Yes.
You don't, I mean, maybe you probably don't, but whoever the caseworker was that said that, who felt for you and said, you know what, let me walk his case right in here, because I know that this dude will be able to help him. It's funny, when you're moving in the direction that you're supposed to be moving, and I'm not just with child support, just in life in general, it seems like
doors will start opening up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Synchronicity, the universe start to work with you.
Right.
Because you got like 3 things taken care of all in one conversation.
Exactly.
There was going to become a greater hindrance to where you was trying to go. And you didn't even know where you was going to end up going, but you just knew this is where the direction I'm moving at.
Yeah, absolutely though. I knew once no matter what struggles I went through, like even going the whole route of food, I just seen the doors start opening up, you know, one by one, you know, whether it was child support situation, whether it was, you know, getting a car so I can do, you know, my deliveries, and it's a bunch of other things. I knew I was going into the right direction, because when you're in financial turmoil, you're thinking about like, look, I'm not giving a fuck about being politically correct. You know, if I gotta hit a motherfucking lick, if I gotta fucking serve some dope, whatever I gotta do, everything is on the table at this point. You feel me? So
that ain't a good feeling to be when you with your back against the wall like that.
Exactly. You know, it's not. I was just blessed to, like, you know what? I guess like I held out long enough to not go into those other directions. You feel me? And I said, you know what? Let me just put it into the food. I'm gonna put it into the food, and pretty much, you know, doors. I knew I was going to the right path because doors just started opening. I started getting connected with the right people. With the job that I did get, I ended up getting connected with this girl that was, she was in marketing. She majored in marketing. So as we're sitting in the back of the office, like we're literally at work.
At the part-time job, right?
Yeah, we're talking about, you know, different concepts for papi cuisine, commercials, and, you know, different, you know, this marketing tactics we can use, and so many other things, you know. And I ended up, what I started doing is I would call out of work and run the business just to see if I can make more money doing it, you know, running the business than I would make a day of, you know, of work. And yeah, you know, I think the first day out there, you know, I ended up making, you know, more than, you know, my salary for the day. Or I think I ended up making my salary for the day. So I'm like, all right, cool. So
that's all I need to do.
I called out work. I worked less time, and I made, you know, my salary for the day. You know what? I'm gonna try this again. So I would set up another delivery date. I would call out of work. I would do it again. And what ended up happening is I started to make. They didn't see me in public, but I don't think we like really necessarily exchanged words or anything. But it was just crazy because going through the whole motions and putting the brand out there, more and more people started becoming familiar with it. It was always levels, you know, to that, to people knowing like who I am and, you know, what I was doing. So I think at the time I would see them out in public. They didn't necessarily. I don't think they heard of what I was doing, you know, because I think the employees was like telling them, you know, like, yeah, you know, Alex, he's doing this food thing, yada yada yada. But I can't really recall, you know, of going too deep into conversation about that. I think one time I was supposed to do like some catering for him, but it didn't work out. You know, but you know, it was a good thing for me, pretty much, because I got to really get out there and put all that time strictly into the business and really see, you know, what this thing was made of, and you know how I could pretty much scale it up. So I started that.
Let me ask you, because you hit on it, you said, the question was going to be, when was it exactly that you knew you had arrived and would be a success? But after you said, I call out one day and I tripled my, once I started making my 2-week salary in one day.
In one day, yeah.
I guess I knew.
That
outside of that one memory.
Yeah.
Can you give me one other memory when you say, you know what, this is going to be big and this is going to be very beneficial. And you can't give me that I made my 2-week pay in one day.
Yeah, so there was many points, you know, like when you're going through this journey, there's quite a few points, you know, because, you know, sometimes you might be I've gone through tough spaces going through this journey as well, you know. Everything hasn't always been peaches and cream, you know. There's always some shit going on, you feel me? Like today, like I had this technician out like fucking 3 or 4 times because one of the ovens is fucking up. You feel me? Like this add that to a million other things. Like I told you, everything that I got to get situated to get this open, and there's always going to be something. But there were still times, you know, where I would get flustered or frustrated with the process that I would see. I would probably see it through a customer. You feel me? Or I would see it, you know, through just people just kind of shedding light on what I'm doing, you know what I'm saying? That would kind of like really be confirmation that I'm doing the right thing, you know, I'm going into the right direction. This is where, you know, I belong in this space. One of the times that I think that I seen that was pretty much, I don't want to say testing the food out, but presenting the food to a wider base of the demographic. Oh yeah, wider audience. Meaning, so not just our people. You feel me? Talking about.
That's when you know.
Yeah.
You kind of had to. I can't be, if I'm an MC, I can't just rap around my homeboy.
Right.
Who know me, who could be biased. I got to rap in front of 20 dudes that don't know who the hell I am.
Yeah.
And I guess that's with anything that you're doing.
Yeah. Once I started to
I'm assuming that came back good though.
Yeah, you know, I started to present the food to like not just, you know, even like the race of people, you know, not just black people, but Asian people, white people, Indian people, you know, other Hispanic people. Like once,
you said Asian, Hispanic, white people.
Yeah, like
everybody came back summarily. It was excellent.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
that's the highest compliment you can get.
Pretty much, you know. So I think at that point, once, because you already know our people, you know, when you got something good, you know, we're gonna come out and support in droves. You feel me?
Oh,
but seeing, you know, all these different race of people like literally standing in line waiting to get our food, because we did this competition some years ago, and we actually ended up winning the competition. You know, we went on the news and everything, you know, to market this brunch and shit that we had coming up. But literally seeing people from all walks of life be able to connect with the flavor profile and the food in general and be like, yo, this shit is amazing. I was like, you know what? We definitely got that dope. And
they gotta be a good feeling.
Yeah, it was.
I'm not just good with my folks. I'm good.
This
is good.
I'm good. You know, like that showed me that, you know what, I can take this worldwide. You know, I can take this all over the globe.
Well, okay, you segue right to where I'm gonna see. Where do you see Papi's Cuisine at 5 years and in 10 years?
5 years, I'm gonna say DC, Houston, LA, Atlanta, Miami, New York.
Okay.
10 years, I'm gonna say global, more so in the aspect of the products. You know, I want to get into distribution as it pertains to food. So I feel like,
because not to cut you off, but I feel like every time I be shopping and I see them little ass Phillips crab cakes.
Yeah.
They got the nerves I'm like, yo, they fucking selling this to me. And I think back, I'm like, man, you gotta put the papi joints in there.
Yeah. So and really, that's really, I'm gonna say, and within the 5 years, as far as that type of distribution, you know, sauces, crab cakes, egg rolls. This is some of the seasonings.
Man. Listen, bro, if you put them crab cake egg rolls in there, it's gonna
yeah.
be like the pandemic happened again.
Yeah.
In the stores.
Yeah, pretty much though.
How you get all that crab in there? That's
We got some good rollers. They specialize in rolling other things at home, so this is an easy thing for them to roll those egg rolls up.
Man. I gave that to my homeboy, Nigerian dude, who don't even necessarily eat. We don't eat the same kind of things.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, those was almost like Captain America, a super working out dude.
Okay.
Yo, but when I brought the egg roll to him, and he was on, matter of fact, not to put your business out there now, but he was on what's it called, on the one day when you super work out, when you don't eat for the day.
Oh, it was a fast, yeah.
He was on his fast day. When he ain't fast, he broke that fast around 10 o'clock with the egg roll. I thought he was gonna take half. No, he ate the box of roll with the sauce. I said, oh shit, this is good. Like, this is dope almost. God damn.
Yeah, pretty.
And he couldn't stop raving about it. He couldn't stop raving.
Yeah. But you know, that's pretty much where I see it. So right now, what I'm doing is I'm paying careful attention to every aspect and detail of the restaurants we open up. There's a lot of things that I wasn't able to do in the Fleet Street location that I wanted to like bring to light. But I mean, if you see this gives us the space and opportunity to bring all those aspects and amenities to like the or bring the experience to our customers that we wanted to bring originally when we opened the Fleet Street location.
Experience and the ambiance.
Yeah.
And it's a lot, like, you know how you describe plating the food. Sometimes you got to plate the experience.
Right,
You got to plate the brand, for lack of a better.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. This was definitely.
Yeah.
This was it.
This is definitely. This gives us the space and opportunity to do that. And so I would say that 5 years, you know, we'll be more so setting up, you know, distribution just for our in-house for our restaurants, you know, as far as our sauces and certain products that we make in-house, and then we'll also open that distribution up, you know, to ship these foods to other distribution centers and customers, you know, as well, you know, that want to purchase the food.
Do you ever see yourself getting out of cooking? I mean, of course, that's a part of your life. You always be doing that, but I mean, commercially.
Yeah.
Or is this
So I'll touch on more so because right now I'm not cooking in any of my locations. Usually when I cook, it's more so like I'm in the house. You know, I'm creating content. Y'all see, like I just grabbed the camera and shit. You know, just creating some content. Like I ain't stepping on nobody's toes or nothing. You feel me? Just if I'm cooking something, you know, I want to post it because I'm also into photography and videography as well.
They come off right though.
Yeah, you know, but
that should make me hungry. Actually, when I'm going through.
Yeah. But I'm big on content and marketing, you know, so things that I can do, you know, in house on quick, you feel me? You know, like I love it. But what I will say is that I like to do good business, you feel me? And it's a lot of components, and it's a lot of tasks, ins and outs, and so many things it takes to pretty much run a successful restaurant and business, you know. So for me, I like to work smarter than harder. And so what I plan on doing is opening in the next 10 years, opening about 10 plus locations, increase the evaluation of the company, you feel me, more, and sell a large interest of my ownership in the company and retain a small percentage.
Okay, so now we're talking about making it publicly traded. And,
yeah.
Okay.
So I want to, you know, take a big well, it'll be more so. Maybe whoever buys into it, maybe they'll franchise, but in-house, you know, I want to increase the valuation of the company, sell a large portion of my interest in the company for a big-ass payout, and then I'll maintain a small percentage, just kind of like how, you know, Jeff, he did with Amazon. He started the company. He only owns like 10 or 11% of the company right now.
God, that's a valuable 11%.
But, yeah, but that 11% is crazy. It's out the chain, you feel me? So, something in that aspect, pretty much though, because the thing is, I'm not going to. It's a lot of work. Let me just say that it's a lot of work. I know all the glitz and glam don't really show like the amount of work that it takes to run this shit.
But that's when you know that you're doing. That's when you know that you're doing it. Because all I should know is, listen, man, you make it look easy to be successful and all that. Any intelligent person knows that it's not easy. It's only easy being successful if you got a scratch off and you get the lucky one. Other than that, man, you made it. You made it happen for yourself.
Exactly.
That's. I wanted you to touch on a little bit about ownership and real estate, but I realized I can still get a part two.
Yeah. I mean, I can touch on it briefly. I mean, as far as so it's definitely pros. It's pros to look at it like this. Kind of like the situation I told you, I'm going through some shit right now with our Fleet Street location. We don't own that space, but in owning that space, say like you have a restaurant or any business you can think of. You know, when you own the real estate of that business, if that business don't work out, you still got that space that you own as collateral to take out loans on to put into another business. You can put another tenant there that has another business. You know, it's so many things that you can do versus if you lease a space and the business that you have there, you know, don't work out, it's just like you kind of fucked. You know, at that point,
you're fucked.
Yeah, you're fucked, but not them,
yeah.
because they can get money from you for breaking that lease. They can also put another tenant in there.
And that's what they're going to do. They're going to get your money for breaking it. And
Exactly.
Get somebody in here to pay it.
Exactly, and they still can take out liens against that building. They could sell the fucking building. They can do whatever they do. So ownership is definitely power in there. But now, the flip side, you gotta think about it. Places like Nordstrom's and Macy's, they don't own one lick of real estate. You feel me? Think about all the places that don't own any real estate, but they just have a popping fucking concept.
Own that brand, though.
Yeah, but they own the brand, and the brand, you know, they got like right now with restaurants, they got things called ghost kitchens. You feel me? Where you can post up anywhere, do whatever type of food you want, and literally just set up a delivery service there. And like because there's a lot of people are doing that right now and transitioning into that because of the pandemic and things like that. You know. Real estate is definitely important, but the brand is very important too, though, because there's pros to having a brand that you can sell anywhere. You feel me?
I remember, and one time we was talking, I think it might be last time, we was talking about how somebody had wanted to buy into your, and I'm saying this the wrong way, but they wanted to buy into your brand, and they told you, well, all you got is a page. They got X amount of followers.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they wanted to merge, and
that's what it was, merge.
Yeah, they wanted to merge, and at the time, if I would have merged with them, I would have had to end the whole papi cuisine, situation, and pretty much, this is somebody who he's very knowledgeable, about business as it pertains to the restaurant game, real estate and things like that, and I mean, really. From a traditional standpoint, I'm gonna say he was speaking some knowledge, but we're in a whole different ball game right now. Society is different. People consume information differently. So
the
old page,
I could tell the age the dude is because he doesn't understand the importance of that page.
Yeah, I mean, well, they do now because the thing is, I wasn't ready to say fuck my brand, because I mean at that time I thought it was a good idea to do the merger and everything, but something just kept telling me like, nah, don't do it, and I had to pretty much I had to walk away from it, and be out on my own. But he was like, right now you don't have any assets, you don't have a building that you own, you don't have this, you don't have that, all you have is a page right now. And I took that page and I did something wonderful with it.
You realize by the time you come in there and telling you all you have is a page, he wasn't there from the day when all I had was a dream, or all I had. People don't be saying that.
Yeah.
Why would I give up my page? Boy, the page is just the beginning of somewhere you don't even see the end to.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, it's like what I went ahead and what I went ahead and did. with that page is because a lot of people don't understand. They look at it like, all right, well, you just got followers on Instagram. They don't see the data when you're smart and you do smart marketing. When you put pixels on your website, to record all the interactions that go through your page and your website. They don't see when you set up email lists and text subscription lists. That's why you see people getting texts. People on Twitter like, yo, Poppy was ain't text me one more time.
I be knowing that that's not you personally.
Yeah.
I say, how the fuck you don't even got my
That's because we have text lists with 40 to 50,000 subscribers on there. So I can push one button for like $150 and I'm texting like 40,000 people. You feel me? So when it comes to that, just a page, there's a lot of things that I can do, and we use social media to increase or to put substance in other forms of marketing. But if you're smart with that page, you're doing certain things to collect that data and to own the data that you're collecting, though. To take that data off of Instagram.
Hit on that, to own the data.
Yeah.
Like what Google does, and
yeah,
that's deep, because I don't think a lot of brothers not thinking on that level with it.
After that conversation that I had, I knew I had more than a page. I knew I had the brand. You feel me? Even though I didn't have any buildings, I didn't have this, I didn't have that. I had the brand.
You wouldn't have been having a conversation if you ain't had the,
exactly. What I mean? And what I went ahead and did with that page is I went ahead and made 6 figures off of some ebooks in my sleep. I spent like $600 in producing some ebooks, and I made like $150,000 off of it. $150,000 off of $600. That's what I went ahead and did with that page. No ads or anything, just posting. So I mean,
my math is right on the flip, but I'm pretty sure
that's a heck of a motherfucking profit right there.
Yeah.
So
3,000% flip off of $600.
So I say that to say, I mean, and at the end of the day, I mean, because I don't want to make it seem like I'm beating dude up. He had a lot of good points in our conversation that he had, but I had other conversations with people that they're looking at what we're doing right now, and they're like, yo, like, how the fuck are y'all doing what y'all doing right now? You feel me? Like how are y'all doing? Because you got these places that's been in business for 20, 30 years, and they flopping. You got 50% of black-owned business died during this whole pandemic.
That's pretty sad too.
Yeah, it's a lot of things happening, but the thing is like you got to continuously revolutionize.
If you can't adapt and evolve, then it ain't personal. That's just
pretty much. You got to stay ahead of the game, though. So I didn't really take things personal because there's people who they came in and they looked at what we was doing when we opened the Fleet Street location, and they said behind closed doors, yeah, this ain't gonna work. And now all of a sudden, niggas come around like, damn, I'm trying to be like y'all. You feel me? Like, I'm sitting in rooms with people that I typically wouldn't be sitting there, years ago. So, people just want to sit down and talk and, and figure out like, damn, like shit. Like, how can I invest into what y'all doing? You feel me? Exactly. Because they see, that we got something unique. And I mean, and for me, even though I've been at this for 7 years, it's still the beginning, for me. Like, I feel like this ain't nowhere near like where we going at.